We'll call the Apopka Community Redevelopment Agency to order. Commissioner Smith, you just want to give us the pledge and we'll get the prayer at the City Council meeting.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got a set of minutes from the 7/16 CRA board. Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, motion by member Drago. Second by member Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, public comment. Anybody public comment? Okay. Presentation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening. I have a concern that has been going on for months and months and months. I feel we need to have these meetings noticed for a half hour earlier. As long as you have 7 days, you can notice them, notice new meeting times. All of the citizens that are at home and in person, and all of the business people coming to the 7 o'clock meeting are really put out by the fact that this meeting runs over every time. And if this meeting is consistently longer than an hour, and then you have no time to go to the restroom, get your papers together, think, and meet with your constituents, then there's obviously a timing issue. So what I request is that someone make a motion to change the time to 5:30, so that y'all can be professional about getting your time together and organize yourself and be prepared for your next meeting. And then you don't have to feel rushed at the end of the meeting, and your business people and constituents attending the next meeting don't feel like they're second class to attend the council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Going to presentations. Business Resolution 2025-04. Who is this young lady here coming down?
Good evening, Antoinette Forbes, Economic Development Director. Nice, I can still be called young. Where is it? So the resolution before you is resolution number 2025-01, acknowledging the requirements of House Bill 7030. So the primary objective of this bill, it was adopted back in October of 2024. It spoke to special districts and the masses. However, as it pertains to CRAs, it talked about the requirement to establish clear goals and objectives as far as performance metrics were concerned for each CRA. That is separate from the annual report, and that report is required December 1st of each year, whereas the annual report is required March 31st of each year. So the resolution that's before you simply acknowledges that the CRA understands that this House bill has occurred and our intent to comply with it. And I'm available for any questions.
Any questions?
Yes, Mrs. Forbes, we spoke about this yesterday, and so thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Mm-hmm.
A few questions on this, and it's pretty much going to be the same things we just discussed yesterday. That we don't currently have set goals and objectives as a CRA board, do we?
Not that I have found. However, that's okay. So, and the reason why is because when this first came out, a lot of my CRA colleagues, we were kind of scurrying about trying to figure out exactly what the requirement was. The benefit of it is that no template has been provided, and so we are actually able to create what our goals should be. My intention is to tie these goals and performance to our budget once the board adopts it.
Okay. And when do you expect that next meeting, or do we need to get it? We just need it done before December 1st?
Correct. And let me make sure I speak for the record because I kind of just nodded my head. So, yes, I do intend to bring it before you at the next meeting. And yes, it does need to be filed, quote, by December of the end of the year, which simply means we need to provide it to the county.
Okay, understood. And then it was a question I had in reference to the actual bill itself. We don't take any state funds or federal funds through the CRA, correct?
Not through the CRA.
Okay, because it has a special section that stipulates kind of additional rules and requirements. So I just wanted to make sure that those don't apply to us then.
Correct.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Any other questions, Ms. Forbes? Okay. All right. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this resolution? If not, close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve Resolution 2025-04.
So moved.
Got a motion by Member Velasquez. Second by Member Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, Resolution 2025-05
And 06.
and 06.
Yes. Okay. So resolution number 2025 is to appropriate the existing redevelopment funds into the next year for FY26. And resolution number 2025-06 is the adoption of the 2025-26 budget. So in accordance with the Florida Statute Section 163, the CRA is required to appropriate the existing balance within the redevelopment trust fund in the following fiscal year. At this time, the estimated balance is about 4.7 million. I have incorporated that to help fund the carryovers plus the FY26 budget. So we need to adopt a resolution to incorporate those carryovers in the amount of 4,753,853. And if you want details of what that consists of, on page 24 of 54, it consists of your FY26 budget that was brought before you at a previous meeting and the estimated remaining balances that are unencumbered that are in your FY25 and how those were funded. If you on page 24 of 54, you got 1.8 that we use to fund FY26 and the 2.9 is the remainder of FY25, totaling 4.7 that is considered carryover that has to be incorporated. And the list of projects are there. And I know we talked about some, Mr. Draco, and you had a question.
Is it always me that has the questions? Is it always me that has the question?
You normally have one.
All right, so I discussed this with the trustee just a little while ago. And the first item that brought to my attention was the residential fee assistance program. We had budgeted, allocated 600,000 as a carryover, and there was another 300,000 added for the new budget, made it $900,000. We also maximized the amount per resident at $30,000. So therefore, the phraseology in there, the 10 units has to be changed to 30 units for it to equal $900,000. Now, my understanding from the trustee is that there could be a proposal to use some outside contractors to administer the grant program. Now, when I look through the budget, I see where Alonzo Williams Park had two budget items, one for $75,000 for power and water and $50,000 for power and water.
One in the carryover and one in the 26.
So I would recommend that the $75,000 remain allocated to Alonzo Williams Park for power and water. The $50,000 gets transferred up to the residential fee assistance program, specifically to cover the cost of the contractual service for administrator in that program. And that would balance the budget.
So the 50 and not the 75 is what you recommend?
Yeah, well, I'm figuring the 75 for Alonzo Williams because of cost overruns, cost of labor, supplies, contingencies, those types of things.
Okay.
Ms. Forms, you got the inquisitive look. Got any thoughts?
I didn't realize you can see me from that far back there. So it was only to give you a little bit further explanation, Board Member Drago, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. If it's Drago? Okay, perfect. So I want to make sure I give you a little bit more explanation in reference to outsourcing the program. Right now, that is a contingency plan depending on the response, if it is approved by the board this evening, the response that we get back to make sure that number one, we are quickly as staff able to execute the program, but also number two, make sure that we have a party that is well versed and to do these type of renovations and also serve as a somewhat fiduciary between the applicant as well as the city, that they'll be able to hire the contractors and authorize the work to be done before submitting payment or repayment back to the city.
I assume that you read the documents relative to the contract for the grant agreement and the grant guidelines and residential facade repair grant program application. You're satisfied with all those documentation?
I am. I've made my suggestions and edits, and the CRA attorney and I are both in agreement.
The other thing is, and I guess the trustee can answer this question. If we adopt these resolutions, then it takes effect October 1st. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So from now until October 1st, then the ED, and that stands for Economic Development, has enough sufficient time to put her program together relative to how she's going to market the program, talk to the residents, whether individually or by groups, go over the contractual arrangements, what it covers in the way of costs, etc. Is that accurate?
I would think so. By October 1st, is that enough time for you to do?
Yes, we should be ready to go.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
A couple questions. The residential renovation assistance program, didn't we set that at 100,000?
Residential renovation program? No,
It-
no, that was the one new.
No, that was
It-
that
no.
was the grant. The
that's
grant was
No.
In the regular budget.
It's in the regular budget.
The residential,
100K.
no, that was the one that was 6 and 1, and then we carrying over the other amount. It was the 300, then the 600 was carried over.
600 to equal
But that's
900.
the fee
'Cause-
assistance program.
That is the
like the
resi-
one we're talking about tonight after this.
Is that one? That's 900.
The fee assistance program?
Residential fee assistance. That's what it's called.
But it's my understanding that
Residential facade.
we were focused on facade, not on impact fees.
There's a separate line item for impact. fee.
Okay. That should be down to the other one, the residential, that one, but this one, okay. But it was 900. The description need to be updated, be flipped.
But it should show $100,000 for the residential renovation assistance program, correct?
No, that's the one that is the 900.
It's 900.
That is the 900.
Then the one that we're discussing tonight that has $100,000 in it that we're trying to use by the end of the year.
No,
No.
that
Oh.
100,000.
That's in the regular budget.
That's in the
not
regular
CRA.
budget. That's a whole different program.
Yeah,
Correct.
right.
That's not in the
That's the
CRA.
grant.
Correct.
That's the
nonprofit
nonprofit grant
Yeah.
program.
It's a nonprofit grant program.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
We don't know what you're
Okay.
I'm talking about whatever we allocated $30,000 per homeowner.
That's what I'm saying. It should be the
That's not in the CRA. That's not this budget.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's the one that is the 900 is what I'm saying.
The one that says that it's for impact fees.
Yeah, the
But it shouldn't say
descriptions are
that.
back. Right, the descriptions are back.
Okay, so everyone's acting like I'm crazy in here, and I'm
No.
not. It's labeled incorrectly, and it's wrong.
Yes, the descriptions are back.
Okay, but the residential renovation assistance program, isn't that what we were putting $100,000 into?
No, I'm still saying that. That's still no.
It's the commercial program,
Exactly.
We're putting into the commercial program.
100,000. That's what
That's
the
where
budget
the 100
says.
went.
Mrs. Forbes, is that your understanding as well?
She wasn't here. She wasn't here.
I understand she wasn't here, but she's taking on the program, and I assume that she's read it. Why?
Yes.
Open that part for me,
Go back to
please.
it. Wait, okay.
Thank you, so I can see it.
It's this one right here. That's the 100. This
Yeah.
It's just these descriptions are flipped.
Right,
It's just
I got it
that's
now.
all it
So
is.
yes, so the commercial part of the facade improvement program, that is for the 100,000. And it's my understanding that the residential facade assistance program is the one that's supposed to be 900,000. That's my understanding.
Okay. If that's what makes sense to everybody else, that it doesn't seem like it's adding up, but that's fine.
We had a long discussion.
That's what we in the
We
previous
put it under the
meeting,
commercial side of this.
you put money on the commercial
put
too.
100,000.
Yes, in the 26 discussion that we brought to you.
No, I know we
last
put
week
some, and then the grant itself, that grant program that we're discussing tonight.
is the 900.
100,000.
That's labeled incorrectly.
Yeah, just need to flip them.
So
That's all.
I didn't realize that we were rolling over so much money into that one.
Yes,
We-
well, hold on. The 600 was what we reallocated to the program. That's-
Reallocated.
Yes, when we reallocated all the funds in FY25, that was the 600K.
And then 300 from
Was already in. Yeah, 300 was added with the 26, and that came before this board as well.
We had several discussions about this.
Yeah, you did, and it was discussed.
I
That it
understand
would be
there's
900.
many discussions. It's okay if I ask questions, though, correct? I would assume that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the respect. Okay. So then walk me through the land acquisition for 518 South Washington, 602 and 614 South Park.
Bobby, for the land acquisitions.
Yeah, because I thought that as a board we had only agreed to the Duke property.
The other land acquisitions again were discussed.
I think we discussed it, but I don't think there was any move forward or official action taken to say that yes, that's what we want to purchase.
Which properties were those again, Commissioner?
518 South Washington, 602 and 614 South Park Avenue.
The ones on 518 South Washington, that's the property next to Alonzo Williams Park. That's the one that's in probate, and that was discussed at this board.
But I thought we said with all kind of the real estate acquisition side, it's all up in the air.
That was the Quest property. That was the one that was up in the air. And I think that one was struck, the Quest one.
Okay, and then the 602 and 614 South Park.
Those are, I believe they're near, if I recall correctly, they're just down here, just past where Station Street merges, where it kind of comes into that V down there.
Did we say we wanted that?
That was my understanding, yes.
I don't remember. I remember us discussing it briefly, but I don't remember there was an absolute yes. Because what are we going to use that for?
Potential purchase of the property to put some type of city facility or something on it.
For that triangle parcel?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
600,000. I think there possibly. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we can always adjust this moving forward.
Mhm.
I just think those funds can be better used rather than spending it on those parcels at this point to benefit this program and the residents within it. So, okay. I'm good on the rest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Smith, anything?
I'm good.
Member Velasquez?
No, I'm good.
Good. Member Anderson?
No, fine, thank you.
Member Williams? Good. Okay, all good. All right. All right.
So I-
Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one?
Okay, I think it would be helpful if you guys kind of had some stuff what you're talking about on the big screen, other than the title. But to hear what we're hearing now, that the city of Apopka is going to budget $600,000 to purchase property without a clear plan on what you're going to use it for, I think is a waste of taxpayer dollars. For the simple reason is, someone like myself who has a commercial location that pays taxes to the CRA, I don't think it was my intent, if we're going to use the money to reinvest, for the city to take the money and invest for their particular reasons. So that's just things I just think it shouldn't be done in that manner. And if you're going to go start to purchase property, I think if you're going to put together a strategic plan or whatever the case may be, moving forward, there should be something tying to the reason on why you need a property and why you would purchase it. But I just think to spend $600,000 on wherever the land is located, I'm not sure. But I just think it's unfair to the residents that actually have paid money into the CRA. That's just how I see it. I can't see it anywhere differently. Because I know a lot of times the board or the mayor gets approached about property and they want to sell it to the city. We go get appraisal and we purchase it, and then we sit there and just hold it for years and years and years. So I just think it's just a bad use of funding. That's just my opinion. Thanks.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, if not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve resolution 2025-05.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
so that 2505, that has to do with the rollover,
Correct.
carryover. Okay.
Correct.
So going back to member Nesta's discussion relative to the $600,000 for land acquisition, can an item be put in the budget to transfer that 600,000 to a contingency item under expenses?
Yes. If you want to just say contingency, we can say
All right,
contingency.
so with that recommendation, I think it would provide sufficient time for the new EDD to analyze those parcels and come back with a recommendation. And then that 600,000 can be taken out of contingency and moved to another line item to purchase the property if in fact that's the recommendation.
Okay.
I'm fine with
Yeah,
it.
we're good.
Everybody
If
good with that?
everybody
Sounds good.
agrees.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay, with those changes,
Well, and one other change, Mr. Chair, is to transfer the $50,000 that's in account 515-6300 to the residential fee assistance program. So that makes it $950,000, and 900 is for the actual work, 50 is for the contingency for the contractual services to help administer the program, which from experience is going to be a challenge from a paperwork standpoint, but that's what we agreed upon, and we should be able to spend the 900,000 on 30 houses. There's plenty of houses in this CRA that's in need of help. Now, if for some reason we're successful and we spend the 900,000 within shorter than 12 months, we have another 600,000 available to move in there if we so desire. I think the residents, I can say this from experience. CRAs typically, the residents subsidize the commercial portion of CRAs. So in this particular case, I think the residents who have contributed to their TIF money into the CRA deserves to have that money reinvested in their property. So I think hopefully my recommendation would accomplish that.
okay. So we got a motion by member Drago so we're moving the 600 to contingency and then 50,000 from transfer to to a construction oversight, or is that
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
construction oversight for the
Residential
residential
here.
facade grant?
Yes.
Which 50,000 is this now?
He's taking it out of the
Alonzo Williams Electric
Alonzo
and Water,
Williams.
because we have 75 that was done for the
Already.
26, and you had the 50 that was carrying over from your reallocation. So it ended up being like 125,000. So just taking it from the 125 back down to 75.
And that was to put the electric and water in case it was for like food trucks and
Yeah.
activities.
Mhm.
So you think we're gonna be able to do that for 75,000?
Yeah, Bradley says
75,
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then where are we at with the Duke land acquisition? Where are we at with that?
We have a motion on the table.
I had questions about that too.
We'll have to get an update on that, where we're at on it.
All right, have we written a contract? Anything of that nature?
Not that I'm aware. I'm not aware.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if we can get an update on that and then timelines and all that built in as well, please.
Okay, so we got a motion by member Drago.
Quick question.
Okay.
For the 50,000 for the contractual services, does that need to be a different line item or is it lumped into that
It'll be a
program?
different line item.
Okay, that's
It
all I
will.
wanted to clarify.
I'm just, yeah, it
All right,
will.
thank you.
It will.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, the motion to adopt resolution 2025-05 includes the amendments.
Correct. Yes, yes. Motion by member Drago,
Second.
second by member Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, resolution 2025-06.
And this is the adoption of the 25-26 budget that incorporates that carryover that we just talked about. And that comes to a total of $6,328,123.
Any questions for Blanche?
I move to adopt resolution 2025-06.
Okay, anybody from the public want to speak first? If not, we got a motion by member Drago, second by member Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, next up, residential facade repair grant program review and discussion.
We're about as close to the finish line as we can be. I'll do a quick refresher. We have provided, and in the packet is provided a bunch of documents that enable the program to operate. They include the application, the description of what the grants cover, the grant agreements between us and the grant recipient, also the payment agreement between us and whatever contractors are used. And they've been modified each time we've been here based on the comments that we got from the meetings. Since the time that we sat here last, we now have happily a new economic development director and CRA executive director. And she took a cut at the documents and sent them back to us, and we made some additional changes at her request. But one of the changes that got made, which she requested or I think wanted us to do, but y'all didn't approve, and I think probably don't want us to approve, is going to the individual picking their own contractor and not having a city approved list. How that came about, and I'm telling you this up front so we get to the questions, is that we don't have an approved list yet because, as I said in response to her comment, we need to do an RFQ to pick the contractors that would be available and be CRA approved contractors. And so somehow that got changed into you just pick your own contractor, which I know that unless something has changed, that's not where this board is. So I've already instructed Ms. New to make changes back. I think that's the lack of a city approved list or CRA approved list is reflected in the draft in front of you, but it's easily changeable because we saved the prior drafts. So we'll put that back in unless I have that wrong. Is my understanding correct that y'all still want both options? Yes? Okay. So with that having been settled, the issue that we have, I've got some questions. I'm just going to go through them and ask them because they are things that are board decisions, just like that would be. And I want to make sure that we get those correct. So the first one that I have marked is on one of the lists of eligible expenses. It talks about fences and walls, but doesn't talk about installation costs. So the question is, would you want us to include with the construction of or the payment for a fence and wall, the installation cost? My presumption would be yes, but I don't want to presume. It's not my call. It's your call.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I talked to the attorney about that. If you're going to allow the removal and replacement of front yard fences, obviously you're going to allow for the installation of front yard fences. Now, I know the city has a code on fence installations, and if a current front yard fence is non-conforming, it's taken down, it can't be put back in non-conforming. It has to conform to the fence regulations. And if I remember reading the fence regulations, it's kind of narrow relative to front fences. Talks about rear fences, side fences, but front fences are narrowly defined and the size of it is narrowly defined. So that would be up to the resident. If he or she had a front fence, they could replace it, but it has to be conforming to the regulations. If it's not conforming, they can't put it back according to the regulations. So I have no problems supporting the installation of new front yard fences as long as it's complied with the code.
And is that the consensus?
Yep.
That's good. Okay.
Everybody
All right.
good? Okay.
If anybody wants to stop me and have a discussion about any of these, that's fine. I'm just trying to get to the point so we can move on and try to be timely.
Do you have a tea time, you said?
No. I have a 6:30 meeting time at 6:31. Since we are recommending the CRA follow Prompt Payment Act, actually, I don't think we have a choice. In the act is a dispute resolution process that can be run and decided by you as the board, or can be decided by the administrator. Which way do you want it to be? If there's a dispute over payment between us and the contractor, do you guys want to be the deciding body, or do you want it to be the executive director?
I don't, but
I would give the confidence to the director.
okay.
Okay.
Does this, Counselor, does this have to do with, because you're kind of jumping around here. We talked about
Correct.
the dispute resolution procedure. That's
Yes.
be part of the.
And who is the decider for the city?
Okay. Now, I question whether or not there is a procedure in the purchasing policy. I never did get an answer. Is there a dispute
There's a statutory
resolution
procedure. It's a statutory procedure under the Prompt Payment Act. This
Yeah.
question is who's going to decide for the city.
So the city
Or the
has a
CRA.
dispute resolution relative to prompt payment.
Correct. There is a prompt payment, the dispute resolution in the statute, but it doesn't designate who for the city makes the decision from the city side. That's what I'm asking.
All right. So for the CRA portion of it, yeah, I don't have any problem with the EDD doing it.
Okay.
Do you want her to do it, or do you want the city administrator?
Just tell me who. I don't care.
I mean, I don't.
It would be
It may-
the economic development.
Okay, all right,
She's-
okay.
She's the one that's following,
All right.
overseeing all the projects.
Clip.
Yes.
And then is there I don't know that statute, is there an appeal process? And if somebody disagrees, I mean, we also want to be careful about putting her in a precarious situation. And, so how, if she's directly involved in the program, then obviously, or more than likely, they're disputing a decision that she made. So, how does that work in practice? Should it be somebody, a third party other than the economic development
It
director?
can be. How it works in practice is it would be if it's somebody you want indirectly, then Mr. Williams would be the logical choice.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, there are plenty of times where the people who are involved in the actual underlying decision get to decide the final decision. An example, but not unrelated, but you'll get the picture, is labor negotiations. You all get to decide what you don't agree in. And then if you don't agree through collective bargaining at the table, then you get to be the board that actually hears and makes a final decision in union negotiations about what the contract is going to be like. So that's not unusual in the
Right.
government space. It's unusual anywhere else, but in the government space, that's not unusual. But that is what you want is all it's just tell me what your preference is.
I mean, it's up to the board. I just think it would be cleaner not to put, potentially now you have a conflict of interest, and then there's the
Yeah,
appeal
I
process and all
can-
that good stuff. So
I can get on board with that as long as it doesn't make Mr. Williams want to shoot me with daggers for putting more work on his plate.
he wouldn't do that.
Okay. So that's fine.
So we'll go
But
through
I don't know everybody
Mrs.
else.
Forbes first, and then to Mr. Williams.
Well, primarily because Ms. Forbes would be the administrator of the program unless we
Sure.
brought in a third contractor. So if you're coming to get paid and she says you don't have all the right documents or that you didn't pass inspection or whatever, and she says that was baloney, I should have been passed and I should get my payment. Well, there's a dispute now. Okay, who's going to resolve the dispute? And it could be her. I mean, that's okay legally. But it can be Mr. Williams, and that says, okay, I've made my piece. I've said my piece. Now it goes to someone else who's not me.
What do you see in other CRAs in the state or in the area?
This never comes up, to be honest with you. the inspection process is such that when you run an inspection and somebody doesn't pass, they don't fight over payment. They come fix the issue because if it's not passing, it's because your building department says it's not passing. So it's really a non-issue, but it's one that I need to make sure I document as
A
properly as
specific process in place.
correct. Right.
I think it would be appropriate for it to, after Mrs. Forbes come to this board for final, if they want to appeal it in some capacity, I think that'd be appropriate.
Whatever y'all want to do, I just need to know to put it in.
But
Yeah,
I mean, and you're saying it rarely comes up too,
Yeah.
if at all. So
Because the contractor just wanted to get paid. They don't want to lawyer up. They want to get. So if John Hanson or somebody from his office comes out and says, this failed, you need to do more or whatever it is, they just do it. And the only way it would become a dispute is if they say, you're misinterpreting the code.
sure.
Yeah, but on the other hand, without knowing what the policy is, most of them have a due process clause. So the initial reviewer would look at it and say your quantities aren't right, etc. And then the contractor goes back and says, yeah, you're right, the quantities are wrong, I'll do the multiplication. Or if he or she says, no, I'm right, then, and I guess the question becomes is the city's had $1 million contracts, like a $42 million contract to expand the wastewater plant. So they typically get disputes relative to payments. So I don't know the policy relative to the due process. I know that if it ever did get to court, the court would ask did you exhaust all your administrative remedies?
Right, that's accurate.
All right. So I don't know what the administrative remedies. It just can't be one person, and I wouldn't put that one person in jeopardy relative to the city. So if the person is the additional screening and there's a dispute after the decision is made not to pay or partial pay, you can partial pay, then I think it would behoove the person to consult yourself, who's knowledgeable in this, to make sure that whatever procedures are done is to protect the city.
It is almost certain, but whether it's me or someone else who is at the city attorney at that time, that would happen because it would happen automatically. Hey, are we okay here? Are we doing it the right way? That's
Right.
sort of standard.
Okay.
So do we want Mr. Williams? Do we want it to bring back here? I just need to know how to write it.
What's Ms. Forbes? What do you say?
So my preference, and I'm in agreement with the sentiment and what's being discussed, I do always think it's important to have a second pair of eyes. So while I will be the primary administrator in the throes of the process, it is important to have someone else to make sure due diligence is done. So to Board Members Williams' point, I think it's really important for if someone has an appeal or if there is a dispute in some way, then I can present my findings and recommendation to our CAO, who can then advise of how he would like us to proceed. That would be my preference.
Okay.
There we go.
You got it.
There we go. Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right.
The
Move on,
next
Bruce.
issue is there was no specified deadline for the completion of the improvements once they've begun. Ms. Forbes suggested a 1-year deadline. If that's okay with you, we'll leave it that way. If you want a shorter deadline or a longer one, this is what I need to know. How long to get done once they've started the project?
There. Okay.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Fair.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
The next one is y'all remember that you decided that they could only get grant funding once in 10 years. What was unclear to us is since the grants are total of $30,000, let's say I come in and I only need 15, and 5 years later I want another 15. I'm still 30 or less, but I'm within the 10-year window. So is the 10-year window for whatever you get, that's all you get, or is it 30 max within 10 years?
30 max within 10 years.
Okay, that's one. Is that where everybody is? I just need to know how to write that part.
Okay.
So it's a total of 30
30.
in that. 10
So
year
even if it's 4 different grants of whatever a piece, you're okay,
Yes.
as long as it doesn't exceed 30 in 10 years.
and that stays with the property, not the person.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
right. Okay,
So a person could have 100,000, 120,000
okay, yes,
of different houses if they had.
right.
4 or 5
It's by the
houses.
property.
All right,
Um,
So
so
it's 30,000 in 10 years.
Yes, total as
breakdown.
opposed to one
Total
grant in 10 years,
30,000
Within a
10
10-year period.
because there
10
could be
years.
3 grants of 10,000 each. So the 30 is the key, not the 10 years is the key. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so the way we discuss this, if we give a grant to property owner A, that property, and there's a lien placed on it for repayment. So if property owner A sells to property owner B,
Then they pay it back.
then they pay it back, and the property owner B is entitled to $30,000 moving forward for 10 years.
That's something you could put in here, but it would be the property, and it wouldn't matter if it was in the 10 years because they still got the benefit of the improvement. And the way it works is on a sliding scale. If you'll recall, y'all said over 5 years. So if they keep it only 1 year and then sell in the 5-year time frame, then they pay back 80%. If it's in 2 years, 60, and so on, down to 0 after 5. But the way it's currently structured, unless you want to structure it differently, is it runs with the property. There was a grant for that property, regardless of whether it was paid back or not. They got their $30,000, and the improvements went into the property. Whether they sold it or not is their issue, not the CRA's issue, unless you want to make it the CRA's issue.
Well, it seems kind of contradictory that if property owner A gets a grant for 15,000, sells it in a year, the new owner, whatever, pays back the city.
Well, the new owner doesn't pay back the city unless that's what he negotiates or she negotiates in the contract by which they buy the property. Do you understand? So if I come in and you've done the grant and you've done $30,000 improvements and we're in year 2, so technically you would have to pay back because you're the seller. You would have to pay back 60,000. So you can negotiate with me and say, look, I'll knock 60,000 off the purchase price and now it's yours. Okay, I'm not getting any extra benefit. I'm getting the benefit of the $30,000 of improvements that were put in before I got here. The idea of the 30,000 per you guys, but if you want to change it, it's okay, is we put in $30,000 worth of improvements to make the property better. Presumably, it's better. So it's not on the critical needs list where some of the others would be. And that's the reason why it follows the property, not the property owner, if that makes any sense.
Ms.
Or-
Forbes, you have something to add? Okay, good. All right.
Okay. The next thing that we provided a definition for, and I just want to make sure you're okay with it, is there was a concern about the contractors being family members. And so we added a prohibition and we defined a family connection as follows. Any spouse, domestic partner, child, parent, sibling, grandchild, grandparent, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, cousin, whether by blood, marriage, or adoption, and any individual living in the same household as the grant recipient. All of those people I just mentioned would not be allowed to be a contractor for the work for this grant. If that suits you, we can move on. If it doesn't suit you, we need to talk about how you want it.
Very good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And we can always adjust these down the road as well, correct?
Yeah, this is your program.
If we find that hey, this isn't working, or there's a
Right.
sticking point here with our residents.
Absolutely. It's your
Okay.
program. And then the last one is the issue of soft costs. Now, what is a soft cost? Licenses, permits are soft costs. The question is, do we want them to be included as eligible expenses, or are we just looking for the grant money to be actual physical improvements, hard costs? So if you say yes to soft costs, that's what we'll write as eligible. If you say no to soft costs, then we will say excluding permits, licenses, and whatever else is necessary to start the job. The arguments for, if you say no to soft costs, then you may be precluding some people who can't even afford the soft costs. If you say yes to soft costs, then you're taking some away from the overall fix-up. If it was a $30,000 fix-up, you may only have $25,000 left after soft costs. So
I think if we do soft costs, we need to set a percentage, the cap. So someone can't have like
Soft costs not
80%
to
soft
exceed?
costs
Okay.
and then 20% of actual improvements. So maybe set like a 10% or some type of percentage, a cap in the soft costs.
that's a very good way to do it. I just need the percentage.
So I don't know. I would say 10%. But
10% is $3,000, up to $3,000.
Oh, 10% up to 3,000. Okay, I can do that. Is that good with everybody?
what we got?
So sorry. I was just going to offer that also in the guidelines, we do mention about multiple quotes being required. So that would give staff the opportunity to compare the soft costs from one vendor to the next to make sure they are considered reasonable.
Okay.
That is an alternative than putting a percentage of how much soft costs.
Okay.
Okay.
I like the percentage with the multiple quotes, just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just so that the soft costs don't eat up,
Yeah.
a fence, if you
Yeah.
will. So
Yeah.
Okay. Do we still want the not to exceed number of 3?
Yeah, which should be
Isn't that
10%.
implied though? Isn't that implied?
no,
No, because the
10%.
soft cost could be substantially larger depending on what
No,
they're
but I'm
doing.
saying it's 10%. 10%.
Of 30,000.
Right.
Oh,
Oh, just 10%.
I got
So
you.
it's
I now
implied.
understand
it
what you're
should be
saying.
10% of the value of the
Right,
work.
of
So
the-
if you
of
the
get
improvements.
15,000,
I got you now.
it
I
would be
understand.
1,500.
Yes, it would be implied. You're
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
So it'll be 10.
Okay.
10%.
Got it.
Okay. That it?
That's all I got. Thank you.
All right.
No,
If you're all good with those document changes, I will provide them to Ms. Forbes and we're off to the races.
Counselor.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, so we had a phone conversation about the contract, the grant agreement, section 2, improvement completion deadlines.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
Improvement completion deadlines.
Yes.
And I made a recommendation to you about including some language that whatever written instrument is executed by the economic development director or designee to the grant recipient extending the work 6 months, the board should get a copy of that written document.
Okay. You're right. That is an internal control, but he did mention it. So let me explain it in case it was not clear. What he is asking, and I think is a good internal control, similar to when we've said with Mrs. Bone, if she gets something regarding the challenge to a candidate, she doesn't get to decide it, but she brings it to you to talk about it. What Mr. Drago was suggesting is that if there's a need for an extension of 6 months, to make you guys aware of the extension through whatever documentation we get, so it's on your radar screen. So if another extension comes up, you know the reasons for the first one and whether or not you want to get another one. Because as it's currently constructed, anything over 6 months has to come to you anyway. Did I get it right?
That's correct. And one
Okay.
other thing that's not in here is in order to have an apples to apples comparison relative to the work, who develops the scope of services for each one of the components of the work? Like painting, who develops the scope of services for painting a house?
The contractor.
The contractor. So in other words, I would leave it up to and I don't know who's going to oversee that. I would assume the economic development director would make sure that, and Counselor, you've seen this, I'll give you this quote and you come back and all of a sudden there's change orders because, I forgot to put in caulk, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. And so before long, you're in the change order. So there has to be, I don't know how you write that in a policy other than the CRA director just needs to look over those proposals relative to the scope of work and make sure it's satisfactory to the homeowner. And that, for instance, if a contractor come in and say, I'm going to paint your house. Well, there's different grades of paint. So normally when subdivisions are built, there's contractor grade paint. They're not very good.
Right.
So you would want the paint job to last more than 5 years. Now, I live in a subdivision when Mr. Nesta lives in one and Mr. Smith, some of those houses had to be painted after 2 or 3 years because the quality of the paint's not good. So
Right.
I don't mind spending the $30,000, but I want this $30,000 to at least be spent in such a way that the homeowner receives quality work and that it's somewhat maintenance free for a longer period of time.
Let me explain exactly where I think this leaves us. We initially proposed this program with city CRA only approved contractors, and we could impose all kinds of standards. The board decided to open it up to the ability of homeowners to pick their own contractors, not on the CRA approved list. And that's important because the contracts are between the contractor and the homeowner. Whether or not it's a CRA approved contractor or whether it's one that's just where the homeowner has picked the contractor out. We are not in a position to police the quality of the contractors beyond their licenses. And I suspect that most people here, if not all, know that not all contractors are equal, even if they have the equal license. Not just like not all lawyers are equal, even though we are all members of the bar. It's just not, that's just not how it goes. So it would be almost impossible to go into a private contract between a homeowner and the contractor and say, well, we don't like your specs because you're specing Sherwin-Williams and it should have been Benjamin Moore, or you're specifying a Home Depot brand instead of Sherwin-Williams, or whatever the case may be when it comes to paint, caulk, or other things. So we are kind of, unless you decide to wade into it, which is going to require some levels of administration we haven't talked about, leaving the scope, the materials supplied, and all that stuff to the contractor and the homeowner to agree on, and also to suffer the consequences of. Our job from a grant standpoint is to simply say, does this equate to $30,000 worth of work or 15 or whatever they're asking for? And if it passes that test, beyond that, we're not warranting, guaranteeing workmanship or any of those things, because we want the warranties of the contract to flow not to us, but to the homeowner. So if there's a dispute, the homeowner has standing to say, you did lousy work. You need to do this as a warranty job or whatever else. So that's how it's set up now. If you want to put specifications, everything has to be a certain grade of paint or whatever, then we have more work to do.
Now, I understand that. The other issue would be if the homeowner selects a contractor and the contractor uses products that are not quality and a homeowner is not happy, doesn't want to pay the contractor, then are we responsible for holding payment until the work is no?
No.
Okay.
If they pass our inspection per our payment agreement, that's why our inspection is an important part of the deal, then we authorize the payment, and they have to agree, the contractors have to agree up front, whether they're ours or whether they are picked by the individual homeowner. They will have to sign an agreement that says, we're going to pay this much up front. We're going to pay, then we'll pay it 30, 60, 90, and 100% completion. We'll have 10% retainage, and all those terms that are in the payment agreement, which you all have already seen. So whether it's one that we have pre-vetted or checked or somebody individual, they're all going to be on the same page as to when they get paid. They have to provide proof that they did the work. It has to pass inspection, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Once those things are done, even if the homeowner isn't happy about it, unless we agree that the work is not up to snuff, we have to issue the payment because that's our agreement.
So I think this does bring up a good point, though, in that we can maybe not require, but strongly recommend certain levels of product quality. So again,
Yes.
not an absolute requirement has to be this, but you can say Sherwin-Williams, I need the better, not the best, not the good. I want the better one at least, and pick your across the board. They have whatever Benjamin Moore, all that. You can match that same quality with nail type, with window type. I want single hung or double hung. I want whatever it may be. It needs to be at least this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
I think that would be valuable to do. I understand that would take a little more time, but I do think the point that's being made shouldn't be lost in that quality should still be there. Just because we're throwing money out there, it should still be of quality. And the point is increasing property values within the CRA. So I think doing that with quality materials, I think should be part of the conversation.
Providing a list of materials that we might think are better, and I don't know who we get that assistance from. I don't know if you can put that together. Maybe Mr. Hanson would be able to put it together. But yeah, I don't have a problem with any of that. I mean, we can do it any way you want. I'm just telling you the practical issues that come up.
Understood. Absolutely.
Sorry, I keep butting in. So I just want to address a couple of points that was made and make sure we're kind of all on the same page. One of the things I think is completely critical for it to be successful is for it not to be perceived as it's so convoluted and complicated for the resident that they almost feel intimidated to even apply for the program. But we also want to protect the CRA and city's interests as well. So yes, the homeowner is the one who gets to choose the scope of what work they want on their property. But I will tell you, and for the board members that I got to speak to individually, I talked about wanting to do what I call the big ticket items. So under eligibility, there is roof work is something that is eligible, as well as windows and doors. And those things are a huge impact to a home, particularly as we're in hurricane season. Although I feel like we're always in hurricane season or coming out of it. That's really important to a homeowner because it could also help lower their property insurance rate. So those big ticket items are the ones that I am really planning to promote, because how else can you get such a substantial improvement and grant assistance to do that? Paint is nice. And that's something that we can look at. But what we are encouraging is those larger, more substantial home renovation projects like the new roofs and new windows and new doors. And those things require permitting that goes with it. They require inspections that go with it. So that'll be our safety net, for lack of a better word, to make sure both the homeowner is protected as well as the city. And then also, I've been speaking with the attorney's office about a form of an owner acknowledgement authorization. That's something that the owner says, yes, the work was done to my satisfaction. I am happy with it, so that then we can proceed with payment. So that's something that we're meeting about this week to figure out what that language looks like.
And I appreciate that. I think paint, though, is important. That's a low-hanging fruit that's easy to make big changes long-term. And I think that's part of what a CRA and what the goals are here. Specifically, in speaking to kind of not convoluting, on page 7 of the actual grant agreement itself, it goes into auditing and that the CRA and the city shall have access to and the right to audit certain items from the grant recipient, so the homeowner. And it goes into saying that the grant recipient must keep all financial records in a manner consistent with generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP. For a lay person,
That is meaningless. You're correct. We can make it simpler. That is good legalese to protect me and you. But if you're asking me, do I think most homeowners would understand it? I don't think so. Neither do I think they will understand how to avoid the impacts of the lien law. One of the reasons we really were trying to push for having CRA approved contractors is for that exact reason, that we would have contractors who understand the standards we expect, B, understand that we're not going to give them anything. And that's why we've included this language as applied to even the personally selected contractors about lien releases and final waivers of lien and contractors, all the stuff that's required to avoid the homeowner getting lien. But at the end of the day, if you're going to have private contractors chosen by the individuals as opposed to our pre-vetted list where we've looked at their work, seen their references and whatever else, then to some degree we cross our fingers and hope that they picked a good one, because that's all we can do. But I can take out the gap language, no problem.
yeah, I think that, again, unless you're going to provide exactly, we need to see it in this format and with these numbers and exactly in the way that we want to see it, which I'm fine with, but it's like either or. Either give the exact kind of understanding of what receipts need to look like, whatever it may be, timelines, or take that out.
Yeah, we can do that. It's not a
So I
problem.
think that gets
Because
real
I
complicated.
definitely understand the issue. That's more of a belt and suspenders thing from a legal perspective
Correct.
than it is one that would be understood by homeowners. I get that.
Yes.
But on the other hand, going with Mr. Nesta, the recipient could easily give the city copies of invoices, satisfaction of liens, so that the city has a record of it. If
Well, that's
anything
part
were
of the
to
pay
happen
process.
after property owner leaves and property owner B takes over.
That's
So
part of the
that
pay
should be easy
process.
to
They have
do.
to provide those documents to get paid.
Okay. The other thing, in St. Cloud, did you have historical structures?
Yes.
So they're on the National Register.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 6 here.
Mhm.
So this grant program would accommodate those historical structures, which requires a little more attention to detail relative to them not coming in, taking out a certain window type and putting in a different window type.
Correct.
So you're the authority having jurisdiction, so don't be afraid to say no.
Yes. So
Yes, you're going to say yes or no?
No. So not to get into weeds. However, every property, once they submit an application, so every application that comes in, the scope will be reviewed, and that scope needs to go through our development review process to determine whether or not there is any permitting or additional review that's required. We will do that before we even make a determination of the award. The reason being is that if we say, yes, you are approved for this award for this amount, that clock starts ticking, whether it's a year or whatever. And now that applicant may be concerned of, well, wait, I'm going to run out of these funds if I don't hurry up and get whatever permit is required. So we as staff will take it upon ourselves and do that review beforehand to determine what the permitting process looks like, including historical structures, before we will issue any form of award. That doesn't mean they will disqualify. That just means we'll hold off on the review until first they do the development review.
So if the building department got a permit to demo a historical structure, would you see that permit application?
If the building department got a demo, what?
Got a demolition permit to demo an historical structure in the CRA, would you get to see that permit application?
So that's not part of
That's a
this
different department.
Not the
program.
question. The question is, you're in charge of the CRA.
Right.
There's 6 structures. My conversation with the building official that if it's done right, the demolition permit could be approved. So the question becomes to you, will you be able to see those permits and give some guidance relative to why that structure needs to be demolished?
I think that's part of a relationship that I'm growing to build with our building official, in hopes that when those type of permit applications come through, then I'll be notified. But honestly, if I am fully embedded into the CRA, then I should know about them before they even hit that process.
You hope.
I do.
Okay, anything else?
Just for the on the application, can we just add, is this property located in a historical district or designated on the registry?
Sure, we can.
And then that way it's a check.
Sure, we can. The only reason I'm back here shaking my head no is because they don't have to go through the CRA department to get a demo permit.
No, not for that process.
And so,
I meant with respect to
but
this
yeah,
application.
the application, if they're coming to us for a grant,
I think
absolutely.
that's a different process.
But
So-
I just want to make sure I get the broader question, which is, if someone comes in, applies for a demo permit, it never gets to CRA. It only gets to John Hanson or somebody who's his designee. And the only way that won't happen before we even get any questions about grants is if the 6 properties that you're talking about are identified to the building official so he can raise a red flag, which would be the simplest way to do it. So if we have those addresses provided with Mr. Hanson, that way they'll be on his radar screen. But short of that, there's no guarantee. Okay?
All right. Are we all good?
Yep.
I think we're going to, I don't know, you hadn't been writing this down. I think we really need to go back through the changes that we've made, that you've made, that we've agreed to as we,
Right.
as a part of the motion. So I don't know if you can.
Because I have them on my phone as prompts, I got the answers, but I also have the ability to go to the clerk and say, pull that tape,
Okay.
which I will do.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would recommend that the attorney go back, do his wordsmithing, or as he understood what we said, and within the next meeting or within a month, we could have another meeting at CRA. He gives clean documentation, explain all the changes that he understood we asked for. If we agree to it, then we can approve the documents and
Well, that would,
The problem is we're trying to get the money
trying
out
to get the
now.
money
So
out
that's the reason
you have to do what now?
we're trying to get the money out now. And we
That's
need
what the
that
money
to be able to get the money out. So
Well, my understanding from the trustee, no money can be spent on that facade program until October 1st when you adopt the budget.
we've got money in there now.
If you like, I can tell you the summation that I took notes on.
I mean,
If that would be helpful.
and then we'll have just, maybe there might be some scrivener's errors, but I think, yeah, if you want, I just think we need to have, we've
I don't
made a
think
lot
it
of
was
changes,
anything
but we
material.
need to
I don't
have
think it was that
something.
material where we can't lunch
Right.
it.
So,
So I have that both the owner can choose its own contractor as well as the CRA can provide a pre-approved list.
Yeah.
The installation of a fence must be conforming with code. Any disputes will be reviewed by the the EDD and solved by the CAO. The not to exceed amount of $30,000 is in its totality within 10-year period for the same property. Up to 10% soft costs are allowed and considered eligible. The board must be notified of extension approvals and remove the term GAAP, General Accepting Accounting Principles language from Section 11 of the audit.
okay.
And the recipient needs to give the city copies of all liens liens, copies of invoices, so you have a copy of the documentation in case the property changes hand and they question, you say, I have the copy of the invoice.
That's part of the
That's part of it. Well, that wasn't clear.
Yeah. As I mentioned, everything you asked for is part of the documentation required to get payment. The lien releases, all of that stuff.
Okay.
The invoices, all of it.
Well, I was talking about the copies of the document given to the city.
Yes, those
Okay.
are that you bring those to the city to get paid. So
Okay.
yes.
All right. Okay.
And let me, so we already have CRA contractors, correct?
We don't.
No.
That's one of the things that I had mentioned to, I think, Ms. Forbes, but also to you guys. Unless y'all have a list you want me to use, I don't know who to put on the list. Because she was asking, well, where's the list? Unless you have a list already, which maybe you do, it would have to be an RFQ that says, here's what we're looking for if you're interested in being on the list of contractors
But we
that
do
are
have-
preferred, if you
we
want to
already have
call
a
it
list
that.
So
of
we're
approved.
talking about rolling this program out. How long is it going to take you to come up with the list?
But don't we have a list of
I
approved
don't.
contractors
That's
already?
a purchasing thing. It has nothing to do with.
But we already have a list
We've
already,
already
correct?
got 4, Radley.
We have a list of general contractors for city property
City
projects.
properties, not
We can't-
police. Right, you can't use those.
You can reach out to those. We can give you the list, but they would have to contract with them directly.
Yeah.
Because the contract that we have with them is just for city property.
So essentially, it'd be a private contractor for that resident. It
But
wouldn't be a city
we
approved.
vetted them and they've qualified, and basically, if you want to use them. So we can
So they-
share that list.
So we can share that list as vetted with them,
Yes.
with the homeowners, but they would then enter into their
To the agreement.
personal
Separate contract
So
with them.
technically, we do have.
We technically do have a list.
We do have a list
Yeah.
right there
Right.
for that purpose.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Public comment.
We do it alphabetically, Rod.
Rod Olson, as a taxpayer, I'm more comfortable with any disputes coming before this agency, not any one person. This is a new program. It's a lot of money. It should come before you as a group, not any one individual.
Just a general question. Is there items that's ineligible for the resident to do?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be specifically spelled out.
It's
Okay.
spelled out. Yes.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else?
This whole program, I came in on the tail end, so I ain't going to speak on a lot of things, but I would like to see transparency throughout. And I noticed that the city attorney keep talking about our vetted contractors that we have, that we don't pre-vet it, but still we paying $180,000 to remodel a 1,200 square foot home. So it don't add up. You know, we're still talking about auditing people, and we still can't get audit here for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I would like to have complete visibility of this. And then when it comes out, like we say, the water bill is a perfect way to advertise and put this out to the community because everybody gets a water bill. So everybody know that it's out there. Thank you.
The contractors, if they're just city contractors that have done it, and they're used to do, they're commercial contractors. Residential contractors are different, and some of your commercial contractors will not do residential work. They might do the commercial options, but they're not going to want to do. Many of them will not do residential work, and so you're going to need a list of contractors that will do residential work. So you'll need to put a request out for people, contractors that are residential contractors.
Anybody else?
As a licensed CPA for the last 39 years, great call taking out GAP for a private resident. It just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Anybody else? Not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve.
Well, can we discuss
Sure.
having the contractor or I guess resident? Should it not go to, or Mrs. Forbes is gives an answer that they don't like, it needs to come back to somebody. I think it should come back to this board so that we can have oversight of what's going on and they can state their case, so to speak, to the board. So we can all look at it individually and understand kind of the case that's being presented versus one individual to another one individual. I think it would behoove us to do that properly to ensure that the process is correct. And if we need to adjust anything, then we as a board can then adjust it because we'll understand firsthand what the issues are with any issues that come up.
My problem is that then we have to have how many special CRA board meetings to, I mean, I don't know, maybe we don't have any. I mean, I would suggest we
The
leave
attorney
it.
said they're rare if at all. So I think to have that backstop of what we may have one for the next 10 years, I think is worth taking the time for us to do it.
Or maybe it's tiered where it goes from Mrs. Forbes to Mr. Williams, and then if there's still no resolution,
Or that
then it
final
comes to,
stop.
yes.
I think that's a good idea. I'm definitely okay with that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Got a motion with that one additional requirement and looking for a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion by member Drago, second by member Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. We'll take a 5-minute break and be right back.